Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's Talking Comics. I'm gonna talk some comics. I got a massive pile of books here. I don't know how many books it is. Probably too many to talk about at one time, but we're gonna anyway. Got my cup of tea. It's extremely hot, so who knows when I'll get to drink it. So these are books for the week of March 13th, I want to say. Hopefully I got that right, because I had forgotten to look. Yeah. So let's jump right in no particular order. No ranking, no super comics thrown in with the non-superhero comics. Let's jump right into Adventure Man. This is Ghostlight. This is issue 2 of 2 of this little adventure. And the next issue doesn't come out until December. I'm trying to think. I know issue 1 came out last month. Did we get one the month before that, or has it been another big break? I don't remember. I really enjoy this book when it comes out, and I'm all for creators taking the time they need to produce a quality book, and this is definitely a quality book. Single issues, I don't know if we are getting we get a ton, don't get me wrong, but as far as giving the full story, I don't know. I guess I enjoyed the comic. Let's put it this way. I enjoyed the comic quite a bit. There's lots of exciting adventure in it. Thankfully, it is a gripping enough story that I remember everything that's going on in it. I know who the people are. I know why they're acting the way they're acting, and all of that. I guess when I was done reading it and I saw that it wasn't coming back until December, it soured. Oh, soured is the right word for it. But it was kind of a bummer that it's going to be that long before it comes out again. But I get it. They're all busy. Terry Dodson to produce this wonderful, gorgeous, piece of work with Rachel doing inks. Yeah, I get it, but like I said, I enjoy it. I feel like, man, if I was reading this in trade, it may take a long time to get that trade. When I got the trade, I'm going to get a big chunk of story. But not the whole story, because Adventure Man is, they're learning as they're going, kind of a deal. Yeah. I guess I don't have a lot to say about it. It's a great book. It's a great book. It's highly enjoyable. Highly enjoyable. Just going to be a long time before we get another one. I'm going to drink my tea. Don't know if I have my thoughts together today. We'll find out. Our Bones, Dust, issue number 4, end of the story arc. I'm hoping there's a ton more. This issue revealed a ton of stuff, opened up a bigger picture with lots more questions, lots more potential adventure that could be had. So hopefully we see that. Ben Steinbeck continues to be an amazing artist. I like the story. The story in a lot of ways is very minimal as far as dialogue and that sort of stuff. We're in some far-flung future apocalypse. English is broken in a lot of cases. We have some alien entities in the book who are, I guess, taking samples, recording history of Earth or whatever the planet this is. I'm assuming it's Earth, and one entity wants to dabble, is a little more interested in the fauna and flora than what it should be, I guess. By the end of this, there's talks of you broke rules and all that kind of stuff, things that I would think hopefully we would know about. But Like I said, the art in it is just top notch. And the story is really cool too, for that matter. I just really like. I don't know. I don't know if my lighting here. Lighting's terrible for my face, obviously, but it's just a really cool, gritty book. And like I said, Steinbeck with Dave Stewart art, excellent stuff. But I don't know. I thought I had a lot to talk about with these books, but I don't know that I do. Batman and the Outsiders, issue number 6. Typically enjoy this book. It kind of is one and done sorts of stories. There's clearly all the books are tied together. With some elements. This one has Nocturna in it. Batman villain, Batwoman villain. Has a party establishment where people voluntarily give themselves up to be victims to the monsters. This wasn't a real solid issue. I have been enjoying them up to this point. Not that I'm going to jump off the book or anything like that. This one just felt a lot less smartly put together for a single issue. But it did still, to a large degree, maintain that we're going to tell a single issue story and then we're going to be done, and we'll move on to whatever the next story is going to be. And I really appreciate that. Superhero comics in the modern age do not do this. By and large, these all stand on their own. I mean, like I said, the overreaching skeleton that holds the whole thing together. You may not know all the bits and pieces of that if you were to read a single issue, but you're going to get a beginning and an end pretty much for all 6 issues that have 5 issues, because it's number 5 that have been out, and I definitely enjoy it for that. Like the characters. I'll keep picking it up because, like I said, I really appreciate that storytelling. It seems to be gone now. Everything's, we all like to say, written for the trade. It's, it would normally take 5 issues to get through one plot point. It seems, but not the case with this book. Oh, a book that is so good. Helen of Windor. This is the first issue. Tom King written. Belquist Evely drawn. Matthew Lopes on colors, which is a huge important part. They are a team together. Clayton Cowles on lettering. Super important, the lettering. This issue has a lot of written text, and not in a heavy drag the book down, but there is quite a bit. There's a lot of narration to get this story going, to set the premise, and does an excellent job the last couple pages to set up potentially what's really going on, what's really going to be there and whatnot. The story is largely told from a woman who's definitely in her senior years being interviewed by a man. We don't know exactly what the interview is for, if it's for academia or if it's for his own book or whatever. And the governess of Helen is telling the story. Clearly something dramatic has happened way back in the past with all of this stuff, and we're getting the telling of it. It's very straight-laced. The governess is very straight-laced, starts the story out and whatnot, and then we kind of, by the end of it, we get some interesting stuff. It looks like there's going to be some fantasy in this. It is set back, I want to say, in the 1930s, because I think at the beginning of this they say that she was the governess from 35 to 41, about the time of the war, because then she went off to the Philippines and whatnot. It is just gorgeously. Belquist Everly is just, she is phenom. You should follow her on Instagram. She used to, and she doesn't quite so much, but she used to post her inking stuff with her little gorgeous brush strokes and whatnot. And I don't know, she is really good. This creative team did Supergirl, Supergirl, right? Not Superwoman. Supergirl. Woman of Tomorrow, an amazing book. That is a comic that I would give to whoever, they thought they didn't like comics or weren't into superhero comics or only into superhero comics. That's just a book I would give them. This book is excellent too. I very much look forward to seeing what all kind of a story we get out of it. It is just I don't know. It's kind of was a perfect issue as far as setting up a potential for lots of excitement. Book I don't know that was a perfect issue number one. Napalm Lullaby. This is Rick Remender, Bengal book. Usually try anything that Rick Remender is putting out as far as independent books. I like Bengal's art as a general rule. The last thing they did together, I didn't stick with it. It just didn't strike my fancy. We'll see about this. There's lots of questions in this I have about this first issue. Not a lot of answers, and most of the time that's a good thing because I obviously don't want everything told to me in the first issue, right? But there's some weirdness going on here that I don't know if we get if we get enough of a picture. But I'll stick with it. I like the world. I think it's some sort of a clearly it's some sort of a dark future. There's holograms in it. I have to be careful where I show people because it's got I don't know if it's aliens or superpowered people. There's going to be some play on God and godliness, I think, in it. Because our two characters here are gearing up to kill God. And I don't know that necessarily means metaphorically, and I don't know that God is a metaphor. But God is a metaphor. That it's not actually God, but somebody who basically operates like God. They steal a bunch of tech from some people. They use some holograms to trick people into believing that they've been murdered. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Art is good. Art is enjoyable. Yeah. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see exactly what that's. The beginning of it is 50 years in the past. Kind of sets up some stuff. There's clearly some zealot sorts of stuff going on in it. So I'll be continuing along for the ride for now to see what the creators have to say. Pressure of so many books. House of Slaughter issue number 21. Beginning of a new arc. The House of Slaughter has come down to Louisiana. House of Slaughter, I believe, is like Chicago area, I want to say, if I remember correctly. And they've gone down to Louisiana, where it is the House of Belcher, or what's left of it. They're both have the same goals. They hunt the monsters and kill the monsters so the monsters don't take over the world, supposedly. I'm beginning to think that's a lie they tell themselves, but they're just generally a giant secret society. I mean, yeah, they are, fighting monsters. Kids' nightmares are real. It's the giant premise behind the whole something's killing children. But I don't know. These people are monsters too, by and large. But anyway, they're competing houses. I think have wiped out members of each other's houses in the past. They've got a loose kind of truce going on of sorts. There's in Europe, I guess, is where the original houses are from, and they're supposed to play nice. It's kind of how what's been kind of implied in the past. But anyway, they're down in Louisiana. They are hunting the last of the true Belchers, I believe. He is going to be hunting them also. But at any rate, the House of Slaughter has come down. They're trying to make sure they get him first so they can have the coup over the other house, because they can't have these rogues running around. In this, they do mention Erica, who's the main character from Something's Killing Children, about how she's rogue. So it's not like this house is the only house that has a rogue problem. But yeah, there's a lot of political tension and stuff between the two houses and whatnot, as they are attempting to hunt him, which he thinks is fine because this is going to give him the opportunity to hunt them because they're all in the same place all at the same time. And he implied like he's going to wipe them out. I don't think it's going to go well for him. There's way too many of these other people, but we'll see. I continue to like the whole world and whatnot. I feel like this book moves faster than the Something Killing the Children book does. But the Something Killing the Children book feels like it has more weight to it. It feels much more personal in whatever's happening in it. And this is sometimes a more historical book, though it's gotten personal with this, with some of this storyline and whatnot. This is a great book. It's really enjoyable, really interesting. If you like the whole world itself, it adds to that. It's got some of the same players will occasionally show up, but it's also got new players and whatnot. Occasionally we get story arcs that have to do with completely other people who are part of one of these houses and what their roles are and whatnot. Okay, on to issue number 2 of The One Hand. This is part of the story that's written. This is written by Ram V. The other half of what seems to be the other side of the story is written by Dan Waters. Art in this is Lawrence Campbell, Lee Luridge on colors. He's an amazing colorist. So this is our second issue of our was going to be retired police detective. He's further exposed here on the fact that he had put away a serial killer, and come to find out, well, not come to find out, more serial killing has suddenly happened on his retirement day, and it has the exact same MO as the original, including stuff that has never been released to anybody. So it implies that either he put the wrong person away, or somehow this has come back. Nobody is, we're not quite sure. So he's trying to figure that out. They're going around, they're questioning people. He's, sometimes has in a very abrupt way about how he is questioning people. The people he's working with want to work with him, but also know that he could be retired and out of this, and maybe is not seeing the full picture. One of the parts I really enjoy in this is he's looking for his psychologist, the person that he talks to, that he gets his whatever. But she is a virtual reality automatron of sorts. So she has a physical body, but she also projects this reality too, is what I'm assuming. Well, she's been decommissioned. So he's spending a lot of his time hunting for this, who he needs to talk to kind of keep it all together, it implies, so he doesn't lose his shit. And that's the part that I'm right now I'm finding most interesting. The killer they're after, it's now been implied that he actually has 6 fingers, because there's a handprint smudged in blood by one of the scenes, and there's a faint mark of a 6th finger. He ends up at a party. The party actually is the same party that in the first issue our main characters were at, this art installation and stuff. So it's interesting as far as I was trying to find some pictures that don't give too much away, but it has a very noir-ness to it. I mean, this page right here, this page just screams to me kind of a noir sort of a feel. Those balloons floating around, and the balloons happen to have a smiley face and a hand waving at him. As they're talking to this lady and stuff, asking her if she really loved the guy, which of course does not go well when you ask the the newly widowed wife, if she, loved her husband and stuff. But he's at this party. We find out it's implied that at this party there's this giant fountain of like arms and stuff. I don't have the issue with me because it had on the cover of the last one, but it's made up of potentially parts of his. I kind of felt like parts of his psychiatric help, because he was told that she probably got outsourced for parts when she was decommissioned, and some of those parts were sold or taken by this art installation person. So while he's at that party, he gets to recognize some people as the detective who put somebody in jail, and now murders are happening again. And so there's some angst going on there. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. It continues to be interesting. I think about both stories going. I'm really looking forward to issue 2 of the Six Fingers, to see what that gives us, see if it moves the whole thing forward. I'm more intrigued by this one just because I feel like we're getting, the last one, it feels like the people we learned about potentially are victims and are no longer part of the story. We'll see. Whereas this one, of course, we have a character moving forward into the second issue. We're getting a little more into his own personal, what makes him tick while he tries to figure out, what's going on around him and this serial killer. So, A Legacy of Violence, issue number 11. It's starting to come to a header, which I hope, because issue 12 is the final issue. This has been all right. I feel like 12 issues was a long haul to get the story that we're getting. Lots and lots of trauma, lots of violence, as the title would imply. People being skinned alive, and that sort of thing, and left on display like pieces of art. We still have this kind of whole Nazi thing that in our main character's past that is bubbling up as he's getting more of his memory. So I don't know. We'll see how issue 12 turns out. It was an interesting adventure. I like these characters. I like Bun. I like Movie. Was this their best work? I don't know that. But it's been all right. It's been all right for the adventure. It was an interesting read. But I'm glad issue 12 is going to be the end of it, I would hope. But there's a lot to tie up if they're going to tie anything up. Or maybe it just is a giant traumatic train wreck at the end. Not train wreck as in bad, but just what happens. It happens, and I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about that comic because by and large it's just really graphic. This is Abbott, 1979. This is issue number 5. It's the final issue of this arc, and I believe it's done. The way this ends, it clearly ends on a reasonably happy note, I would say. With the potential of, the evil is still out there, let's rebuild and, come back again at some other point. But hey, people are happy by the end of it. It's good. It's got some great panel work in it by Sammy Kilvea, the artist on the book. I really enjoyed it. So this whole thing, there's been three separate arcs, are all about Abbott here. She is a African American journalist from Detroit, set in the 60s and 70s. So you get a lot of really good kind of, this is where Detroit was at that time, as it slowly starts to slide into being kind of what it is now, and hoping for it to not be that. We have this evil spirit, this entity that's kind of in another realm, that is basically coming to corrupt and take over everything, and find out that Abbott is from a long line of Lightbringers, as they're called. In her, she has the ability to draw up basically light to push back the darkness. So it's your traditional fight between those two things. But it's been good. It was enjoyable. It was a good read, good ending, all around, quite good. Another book with a good ending, and man, I hope there's more down the road. This book has been really good. Wesley Doss, Sandman. This is issue number 6. We get our final fight with our final, the real bad guy and the whole thing. Dobbs comes to terms with some stuff, and then at the very end we get this great Justice Society page. That's probably a spoiler, but oh well. But yeah, I'm trying to find a page here that doesn't have. That's one thing really irritating about DC Comics lately. Page with an ad. We get another single page of story, another page of an ad. Another page of story and a page of an ad. That's irritating as hell, right? Another page of story, an ad. I mean, come on. Oh, 2 pages of story as our fight goes on. Page of story and an ad. Do you see a recurring theme here? Oh, 2 pages of story. But that is cool. This fight, big old fight, 2 big panels, 2 dramatic panels, and all these little panels that tell you kind of what all possibly happened in the interim there. Teeth getting knocked out, glasses being bent and whatnot. Woo! Riley Rosmo. Trying to find something else. Oh, another page with an ad. You see a recurring theme here? Another page with an ad. And some of the ads I don't even like. As a side note, the one back here, with Titans and Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller has become the new Joker. She is in everything, and it's annoying. She's an annoying character. I used to love Amanda Waller. Not anymore. She's tiring. Amanda Waller is the big bad of everything, and I get it. She probably is and probably should be. But if you use her in every damn story every time, boo. Anyway, the Wesley Doss Sandman, excellent. Would love to see more of it. Don't know if those creators would love to do more, but man, I really wish they would. I don't know. Obviously, maybe it didn't do as well as Poison Ivy to get more comics from it, or maybe the creators didn't want to do any more. I know, talking with Riley Rosmo in the past, he does some of the corporate gigs to pay the bills, so then he can go do whatever else he wants to do. And I don't know whatever else he wants to do, because I haven't seen him do anything lately that has been more along the lines of independent stuff. But I know he's a family man, and you need to pay the bills, and you do what you do to pay the bills. But I think he clearly enjoyed this. He knocked it out of the park. He was on Harley Quinn for a long time. I felt like he was on Harley Quinn for what? I want to say a couple of years, 20 issues, 30 issues. But this is great, and the implications at the very end, I would love to see that. That would be really amazing, especially with the artists that are on it. And Placina does excellent work coloring him. They're a team. Next week you'll hear me talk about breaking up a team. So it changes the pencil ink, or whatever you want to call. And then if you have somebody else doing the other part of the work, when you're used to seeing someone do it, it changes the way the work looks. When I say, ooh, Riley Rosmo art and whatnot, lots of times anymore, part of that has to do with Placina's coloring on it, makes it, what it is. Riley Rosmo style is distinct, but that coloring, you used to that. It's part of what it is. It's just like if you're going to see J.H. Williams III, it's going to be colored by Dave Stewart if it's colored by anybody, right? I know J.H. Williams does color some of his own stuff, but as far as like sequential art, it's Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart does it. It's just like going back to, I don't know what Steinbeck stuff back here on Our Bones Dust. I don't know what this would look like what Steinbeck's art would look like if Dave Stewart wasn't coloring it. I don't think I've ever seen Steinbeck stuff without Dave Stewart coloring it. Largely, Ben Steinbeck, what I remember him most from is the Baltimore comics, the Dark Horse, the kind of way offshoot Hellboy universe sort of stuff, but really it could easily be its own thing and not ever have to worry about it, the rest of the Hellboy universe. Some great stuff, some great single or 2-issue stories. Ben does the art on it. That's what really got me excited about the Baltimore stuff. I like the stories, but Ben Steinbeck's art's pretty amazing. And it's Dave Stewart. I mean, I just don't know what it would look like if somebody else colored it. Would I go, oh, that's Ben Steinbeck? I'm not 100% sure. Because those sometimes you get a partnership going. It's just like, I don't know, there's not as many inkers these days as what there used to be. Lots of pencilists kind of ink their own stuff, or they work digitally, and so it's kind of all the same or whatever, depending on how they work. But it used to be there were really good teams. This person did the pencils, this person always inked them. They're good and bad. Kirby inkers. I don't want to go too far into that. But anyway, I feel like with colorists, because how good coloring is now in comparison to, in the 70s and 60s and 70s and early 80s, the way the coloring process was. Not that I didn't enjoy it then, but it can so elevate the art now with all the tools that are available to a colorist, that if you're doing a color book, that team, in my opinion, is important. It makes a difference lots of times when it comes to voices like these that have a definite style. They don't just look like the House Marvel look or the House DC look. They have specifics. Anyway, get off that horse. Let's jump on to Immortal Thor. This is issue number 8. Thor goes and talks to Mother. Not exactly the mother that he has in his head, as he goes to talk to Gia. This is like some more ancient version. Part of this storytelling is the original gods, kind of before they were gods even, fighting for domain in their universe, and how you kind of get a little bit of story how she gets her own domain in that. Thor has shown up. He's irritated because people are messing with him. He has found out that his mother, this version of Gia anyway, is the one that unleashed this, ultra storm god Thor, Utharp Thor, that, almost wrecked New York, clearly hurt and killed some people probably along the way in this massive storm that he had to fight and whatnot. And he's had enough of it and he wants to know why. So Mom kind of tells him and implies that the gates have been opened and it's going to get a lot worse. And at the very end of it, it sets up the companion comic that's going to be coming out. A corporate minotaur has Ranix, Raxxon, I think is what it is, is producing their own comic book to kind of control the narrative and to control the story, because corporations kind of want to control the narrative, control the story, right, of our lives, so they can get away with the shenanigans that they do. I think there's some of that there. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I've talked about it, the more I'm kicking myself for not having picked up this other comic. I didn't want to read 2 Thor comics, but I guess it's going to just be a short thing. So that comic is going to show the comic that the corporation is producing with the help of Enchantress. Thor is thinking he's going to have none of it. It has been pointed out to him that this is what's going on. He knows this person has kind of been jerking stuff around for a while, and he's sick of it. So at the very end of the issue, he's showing up at the corporate headquarters to have a meeting with the head of it. So some interesting stuff. I'm getting a kick out of it. I'm enjoying it. I'm not blown away by it necessarily like the same way I was blown away by Immortal Hulk. It's not, because it's a different story. It's not. It doesn't have some of the same dynamic shots, but it is still a a really fun book. I'm enjoying it. Surprisingly, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I may have to scramble and see if I can figure out a way to get that other Thor book. I continue to live in a comic book desert. There's a few antique shops now around that have started, or antique shop or pawn shops that have started selling some old comics. And when I say old comics, probably comics from the beginning of the New 52 by and large, and a few other stuff, but not somebody that actually carries comics. So I still live in that comics desert. It's a little tough for me to race out and try to find something, but I may have to figure out how to read that stuff. Next up, we have this is Dark Spaces Dungeon. This is issue number 4, and we're getting close. These Dark Spaces issues have been a lot of fun. All the different stories. It's kind of originally curated by Scott Snyder. This is an actual Scott Snyder book. I largely am picking it up because it's another Hayden Sherman book. I really like their work. It's been interesting watching them evolve from what they were doing with the Vault comic Wasted Space to what they're doing now. A little more polished and stuff. And I think I think they're matching their style to the story that's being told instead of letting their style be part of the story, if that makes sense. Not taking anywhere, it's still good. I still like the panel layouts, how they dynamically convey the information they want to convey. Also really good. In this story, we're getting really close to catching the bad guys, supposedly. Though our main detective has just jumped into what I think is just a giant trap. Like, you complete sucker. So we get some more information, some background story. We get another layer as to this evil serial torturer, kidnapper guy. Another layer of just how terrible he is. They don't know who he is, but they know kind of where he was when he was a kid, that he was in this juvenile detention place, that he potentially maybe murdered somebody, and that was 40 years ago. And basically for about 36 years of that 40 years, the mother of the child that was murdered has been getting yearly birthday updates of what her son's life might have been like if he was still alive, just to torture her every year. But they use that information that's there to chase him down. Now, did he know that was going to happen? Did he leave it there and this is all just a larger, bigger trap? Or are they actually getting close to catching the guy? I guess we'll find out and see. It's called Dungeon because most of his torture is done. He has like silos all over the place, all over the United States, and he puts people in that, and he puts them in like a room that's tight, and he can change the shape of it and slowly break your bones, and then you heal, and then he slowly changes the shape of it and breaks your bones, you heal. And then there's all the psychological torture on top of the physical torture. Grim stuff, but really been kind of a cool story. And this issue was great like that also. Looking forward to, I don't know, 5 or 6 issues, I would guess, is what it's going to be. And then I don't know if we'll get any more. This is IDW. IDW put out there's like 4 or 5 different of the Dark Spaces type stories. They also are doing The Hunger and the Husk, G. Willow Wilson fantasy book. I want to say there were a couple others as they were doing this original stuff. Original. I think original is fine. I think they also call it creator owned, which is, of course, we know isn't true because IDW, you sign X amount of rights away. But IDW, like a lot of these comic book companies that we kind of know of, are financially struggling. They lived off of being kind of an IP farm as far as doing Star Trek and G.I. Joe and Transformers, and of course the Star Trek they still do, but like G.I. Joe, Transformers, and all that kind of stuff is now being done by some image creators. So they've lost a lot of stuff, and then they've lost a lot of money. So I don't know, and if they don't have money to pay the creators, why do the creators work for them, right? So I don't know exactly how that all is playing out. I don't think they're in quite the dire straits that some of the other companies are. I don't think they're quite in the dire straits that like Aftershocks Comics is, because we don't see anything from them anymore other than they keep trying to sell their trades. They're not in the dire straits that Scout Comics is, where they're doing all kinds of devious shenanigans. Anyway, so we'll see. Hopefully we see more. I'm enjoying been enjoying this quite a bit, and I got really tired of Scott Snyder, to be quite honest with you. After the Batman run, I just didn't just say I've been avoiding his stuff. I haven't been buying most of it, but I thought I'd give some of this stuff a try, largely because the two titles under the Dark Spaces that he has done, both of them have been teamed up with Hayden Sherman, and I'm going to pick it up because of Hayden Sherman. Hayden Sherman's doing a book. I'm at least checking it out. He's up there as far as creators go. And the final issue I'm going to talk about is Weatherman. This is issue number 3 of the 3rd volume. I absolutely love this story. Have from the beginning. I love Nathan Fox. He's the artist in the book. He just has a style, and I love his style. It's just another kind of fluid. He's just got a vibe. He's got a fluidity to what he does. I love his characters. I love the action. I love his line work. It has its own look, and I just really super enjoy. I enjoy picking up a book and going, ooh, it looks like its own thing. It doesn't look like everybody else's thing. Anyway, excellent story. If you've read along, like I said, I'm a huge Weatherman fan. I own a Brutal Noodle T-shirt. I'm hoping to get a new Brutal Noodles T-shirt. They come in color now. I don't know if I've talked about this before. I've got one that's it's yellow shirt with just the black on it. I love the ad. I'm hoping to get a color one for my birthday, just coming up. Anyway, the story is really good also. Our Weatherman knows who he really is, or knows who he was before. Kind of along the way, it's been implied as to why he kind of mind-wiped himself. By this issue, we get a whole different reason as to why he mind-wiped himself, because the dung has really hit the fan. By the time we're at this issue, stuff is gone completely bonkers. The real bad guys have kind of played everybody, and the end game is coming, and the end game could be extremely traumatic if if somebody can't figure out how to pump the brakes. The end game could be the annihilation of a large portion of the human race as these bombs go off. Smaller version of it's already gone off. They've got another one that was supposed to have been destroyed, but you know how the government is. They don't really destroy something. Oh yeah, we'll take care of it. They hide it away because you want that advantage if down the road something else is going to happen. Well, then if people find out that stuff and they can get control of it, then oopsie, the wrong people have the bomb, as it were. Excellent book. Always excited to read it. Just a real hoot all the way around. And that's it. I'm 40 plus minutes into yammering. Sorry if this wasn't quite so exciting. I'm still practicing on getting into actually sitting and talking to myself to talk to you about books. I kind of got out of the practice of it. Like, it's in my head all the time, but conveying it to you all sometimes is a challenge. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you've watched this far, you read these books, what did you think? I'm going to start watching people's videos to find out what they thought, kind of thing. I've discovered that if I've read the books and I haven't talked about them yet, and I watch somebody else talk about them, it seems weird for me to be talking about them. Then I have a hard time doing that. I watched most of Sleepy Reader's talking his comic book thoughts about some of the issues that I have read here, and it kind of it's sitting in my head, and so it either changes what I want to say, or I feel like I've already said it because I heard somebody else say it, or I worry that I may get into a debate that I don't, that I'm not, that isn't my intention, kind of thing. So I don't want to do that either, unless everybody's on, whoever I am having that conversation with is, is we're together and we're talking about it, then that's awesome. But yeah, otherwise, it feels weirdly passive aggressive to do it in videos opposite of each other or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm yammering now. Have a great one, everybody, and until next week, have a good one.